What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Pull Up and Chat. My name is BJ Matthews, aka B Jizzle.
And it's your co-host that does it the most, Rick Masters. Hey, y'all, you already know what time it is. Pull Up Basketball Podcast shirts, red, white, black, white tanks. We also got the hoodies, the red and black for $30. Like I said, the shirts, $25. Ladies, don't be ashamed to get a tank or a shirt or even a hoodie. Hit up me or B Jizzle on our DMs. B Jizzle, let's go.
Yes, sir. Like my boy said, go on our social media, get all of our updated merchandise. You know what I'm saying? White, black, and red t-shirts for $30 a pop, $35 extra shipping and handling. You know what I'm saying? $35 for the hoodies, white, black, and red as well. You know what I'm saying? Outside of, you know what I'm saying, of California or Texas. So, Rick, let's get into some subjects, man. This week has been a crazy week in the NBA. We had, Paul George coming back, with a return, against the Utah Jazz back on Tuesday. Erupted with 34 points. I believe two assists and 6 rebounds, and shot was 10 for 20 from the field. So he was magnificent off a 3-month layoff off a torn UCL. He was, as good as he can look. So let's start with that, and then we'll go into the Giannis Antetokounmpo. Is he the best player in the NBA today? Let me hear about Paul George first. What's your take on, Paul George's return, bro?
Well, hey, man. Everybody already knows Tuesday night going against the Utah Jazz. It was a magnificent game, man. I mean, shouts out to Donovan Mitchell. I believe he had 33 points, but of course, Paul George with 34. Hey, man, look, seeing him come back and the way he performed, it's almost like he didn't miss a step. It looked like he came back fully prepared. You could tell he took his workouts, his rehabilitation very serious, because it's almost like he didn't leave at all, man. I mean, he left due to an elbow injury. But, hey, man, he came back. He performed like he normally does, looking like the PG-13 that we saw in the playoffs. And, hey, man, they're going to need that going into this year's playoffs. So, at the end of the day, hey, man, he's looking good. And like I said, that Utah Jazz team is very formidable, and he held his own. But what do you think about his comeback Tuesday?
So first of all, like you said, he had 34 points, 10 for 20 from the field, 2 rebounds, 6 assists. He was a little bit streaky in the first quarter, getting his legs back and, getting his conditioning. He was missing some shots that he usually would make, pull-up J's and stuff like that. But Paul George, I knew he was going to get in some type of rhythm just because of the excitement of being back on the court. You know how I feel about PG, bro. I think he's a top 10 player. I believe talent and ability-wise, he has the, capability to be a top 5 player. But, with the bubble happening and the playoff P situation happening a few years ago, it's kind of taken a toll on his legacy a little bit. People kind of forgot PG, what he is, taking his team to the playoffs every single year in his 11-year career. This is the same guy that went head-to-head with LeBron back in Indiana for 2 playoff series, where one of them, he was the best player on the court. Going to OKC with Russell Westbrook, going to the playoffs 2 years in a row. Of course, they got bounced out against, Utah and Portland, but still, him just being there is a factor. And then he's with the Clippers, with Kawhi Leonard, you know what I'm saying? So that formula, to me, in my opinion, that's the best duo in the NBA. Give me Kawhi and PG over Anthony Davis and LeBron. Give him over D-Book and Chris Paul. Give him over then Giannis Antetokounmpo, Chris Middleton, Kyrie, KD. Whoever you want to pick, I will pick Kawhi and PG over any duo. That's how formal it is. But what other things did you see impress you about Paul George's return on Tuesday, bro?
The only thing I question is, can he be more consistent? I mean, that's the best word I can think of. I mean, granted, I'm kind of giving him leeway. Like I said, came off an injury, looking phenomenal, man. So I really won't touch on that. But can he be consistent? So, kind of like what we saw last year when he was playing, man. Can we get that same, that same effort, that same drive, that same hungriness? Because I'm gonna tell you something. Even though Kawhi wasn't there, I'm telling you, it's almost like if Kawhi was there, they definitely probably would have won a chip that year. But I will say that if he cannot be so streaky, again, I know he's come off an elbow injury. He comes back in, he shows us what he's capable of. And by the way, 24.9 points, 6.8 total rebounds, 5.5 assists. I mean, the man has all-star numbers, 42.1 in field goal percentage. Now, I will say, superstar status is always 50% or higher when it comes to field goal percentages. So he's about 8% lower in that area, 33.2% on threes, 86.7 on free throws. But his efficiency is looking good, 48.7. So that's almost at 50, 18.1 with PER. I mean, look, man, Kawhi couldn't ask for a better sidekick, a better partner. This dude is definitely an upgraded Robin in a sense, and a funny words of saying it. But I mean, I just look at, like I was telling you earlier this week, B Jizzle. I remember Paul George when he was with the Pacers. He was more of a high octane slasher type of player. Now he evolved his game in a such a way, kind of like, and I said this to you, kind of like Jordan, where Jordan in the early '90s, he was like flying at the hoop, dunking on your favorite dunker, coming in, being aggressive. Then of course his later years, he was just more of a symphony melody type of player where he play with your mind, control the game with his fadeaway jumpers, and kind of take over the game just by more of a mentality. And I think that's what we're seeing in Paul George right now. You can tell he's evolving as a player, even though he'll still yam on you, dunk on you if you're not careful. You can tell that he knows that he doesn't have father time on his side. So you can tell by the way he plays, he's very careful, he's very efficient. Again, long as he can stay consistent, I feel like he'll be more dangerous. But again, he has those nights where a bit streaky. He doesn't really help the team overall, but that's not on a regular basis. Where kind of like a Russell Westbrook, and not to pick on him, but it's like you're a great player, but you're not having great nights. Paul George, the total opposite, has a lot more great nights than bad nights. But again, on some nights where you need him most, like against the Chicago Bulls, where you need him most, he really didn't show up. So when he shows up, I really feel like the Clippers would have beat the Bulls the other night on Thursday, but he didn't show up, and then it caused the Bulls to take that win. So when we're thinking about the playoffs, 7-game series against some of these tough teams, man, he's really going to have to be more consistent, and I think he can. But again, I show him a little grace because of that elbow injury. But what do you think, B Jizzle?
So I'm with you on that because here's the thing about PG, man. The shots that he takes is not usually the best shots. Like there'd be nights I'll be watching him, he over dribbles in the same spot and he'll pull up. And that's because he's 6'9". He can shoot over pretty much anybody who's guarding him. What I would like PG to do more is to get more into the mid-range and work and operate off turn-away fadeaways, you know what I'm saying? Curl shots, pull-up shots in that area to take some of the, you know what I'm saying, stop being so hard, make it a little bit easier on him. Because he feels he's so good that he can, shoot wherever he wants. And he can, but some of the shots he takes is, to me, you can get a higher percentage by using your length and using your size over these smaller guards that's guarding you. If you have some plays more ran for PG where he's, operating in that mid post, operating on that elbow, operating off the curls and, the flares and stuff like that, that's going to make him even more dangerous. But I see sometimes PG will get 3-point happy off the step back, between the legs, crossover, stuff like that. And that's another thing. He can handle the ball like a point guard. He has so many tools in his toolbox that I sometimes feel like he gets a little bit too, flashy with it, which, I understand because he's 6'9", but I would like him to get a little bit more into, operating in that mid post. Because remember, like you said, Indiana, he was athletic and before the leg injury, he was more of a slasher, so it was a little bit easier. So now you broke your leg and you had all these injuries with the shoulders and now the elbow. You're getting a little bit older. You can still dunk on people. You're still athletic, but now find even better ways to score the ball. Like I feel like it's the best PG I've seen in his whole career because he's more cerebral in his mind. He's a better leader, and I think he's grown up. But that's all I have to say. As far as you saying being more consistent, I agree. That's been a knock on him. But I think since last year, I think he's prepared now to take on whatever is going to come to him here on out. But you anything else to say about that?
Man, the only thing I have to say, granted, we know that Kawhi Leonard is sitting out right now, but look, man, I really feel like this Clippers team, even if Kawhi didn't play, can really make some noise in the playoffs and go pretty far because let's not forget, Nicholas Batum, Amir Coffey, Robert Covington has really been showing up for this Clippers team. I mean, I believe his last game, he had like 43 points. I mean, the man was just coming off screens, busting threes, shooting mid-rangers. I mean, you got Isaiah Hartenstein, Rodney Hood, Reggie Jackson. Now, that's another person, Reggie Jackson. I feel like he is so underrated right now. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You hear about the Donovan Mitchells, you hear about Dame Time, you hear about Curry, but man, I don't think Reggie Jackson gets enough love, man, because look, this dude right here, it's like when I watch him play B Jizzle, you could tell he's the type of point guard that takes a lot of pressure off of your star players that's on the court with you. And I feel like PG has to use that. He has to execute that type of, team system with type of players like that at the same time, because I personally feel like he doesn't use them to their fullest potential. I feel like if you use Reggie Jackson, you use Robert Covington, even with Kawhi Leonard not being there, you guys can literally, knock on wood, can literally make it to the Western Conference Finals and possibly even win it. But they really got to be on some, some Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Spurs type chemistry, to where even when I'm not looking at you, I know where you're gonna be. That type of chemistry. Don't get me wrong; they have the chemistry, but it needs to be so superb that it's seamless almost. Like I said, if they can get that type of flow going between those guys, there's no doubt in my mind that like this team alone, even with Kawhi Leonard not playing right now, can really make some noise in the playoffs. So that's all I have to say about that.
Definitely agree, bro. Definitely agree with everything that you said about that. We'll see what happens, with Kawhi's situation. We'll see what happens with the Clippers. And like you said, they're a deep team, the deepest team in the playoffs, in my opinion. And with Ty Lue coaching that team, he's able to utilize every piece on that roster to the point where you guys got like Robert Covington, Luke Kennard, Terrence Mann, Viska Zubac, Nicholas Batum, all the role players, coming in, doing their thing. And of course, Reggie Jackson, man. Definitely, remember, he was a starter on Detroit. This dude's a starting point guard. So it's easy for people to kind of get lost in the sauce about how good this dude is. Norman Powell, he's supposed to be coming back pretty much this week. They said 7 to 10 days a few days ago. So look for him to come back. He's going to be a big piece. So we'll see what happens with the Clippers. But let's go on to the next